You're listening to the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast. On today's episode of the podcast, we take a look back at some of the iconic Ashes moments from the SCG. It's the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast, and let's get started. Over the years, we have seen many great Ashes moments, and those moments are forever in our minds. During this Ashes series, we are looking back at some of the most iconic Ashes moments from the Gabba, the Adelaide Oval, MCG, the SCG, and the Waugh. Today, we take a look at some iconic Ashes moments from the SCG. Our first Ashes moment from the SCG is where Steve Waugh scored a last ball century. Waugh was potentially on his last chance when he strode out to bat on the second day of the fifth test at the SCG in January 2003. In the preceding 12 months, he had just averaged 32 across 11 tests. He decided to play in a fashion that rarely characterised his batting at test level. By the time the last over of the day started, he was on the cusp of his 29th Test century, the Australian record at the time, alongside Don Bradman. What followed was theatre of the highest order. Let's recap the match. England batted first and made 362 all out in their first innings, with Mark Butcher top scoring with 124. Australia were bowled out for 363 in their first innings, with Adam Gilchrist top scoring with 133. England made 9 for 452 declared, setting Australia 452 runs to win. Michael Warne top scored with 183. Australia were bowled out for 226 with Andy Bickle top scoring with 49. England won by 225 runs, but Australia won the 2002-3 Ashes series 4-1. Our next Ashes moment from the SCG is where England fast bowler Darren Gough claimed an Ashes hat-trick in the final test of the 1998-99 Ashes series. Gough produced the first hat-trick by an England bowler in an Ashes test since Jack Hearn at Leeds in 1899, 100 years earlier. Sadly for the tourists, Gough's performance didn't contribute to a victory, with Australia prevailing by 98 runs. Let's recap the match. Australia batted first and made 322 all out in their first innings. Mark Waugh top scored with 121. England were bowled out for 220 in their first innings, with John Crawley top scoring with 44. Australia were bowled out for 184 in their second innings, setting England 287 runs to win. Michael Slater top scored with 123. England were bowled out for 188 in their second innings, and Nasser Hussain top scored with 53. Australia won by 98 runs and won the 1998-99 Ashes series 3-1. Our next Ashes moment from the SCG is when England walked off during the 7th test of the 1970-71 Ashes series. Due to the abandonment of the third test in Melbourne due to rain, both boards agreed to schedule an unprecedented 7th test. The match became best remembered for late England skipper Ray Illingworth leading his team from the field late in Australia's first innings. Fast bowler John Snow bounced tail ender Terry Jenner, who ducked into the delivery and was struck on the head. Snow was subsequently warned by umpire Lou Rowan for excessive use of short pitch bowling, prompting Illingworth to protest. In the next over, Snow, who was fielding on the boundary fence, was grabbed by a spectator. In protest, Illingworth led his team from the field, only to return after the umpires warned him that they would award the match to Australia if he didn't. Let's recap the match. England batted first and made 184 all out in their first innings. Ray Illingworth top scored with 42. Australia were bowled out for 264 in their first innings, and Greg Chappell top scored with 65. England made 302 all out in their second innings and set Australia 223 runs to win. Brian Luckhurst top scored with 59. Australia were bowled out for 160 with Keith Stackpole top scoring with 67. England won by 62 runs and won the 1970-71 Ashes series 2-0. Our final Ashes moment from the SCG saw three legends of Australian cricket say farewell in Shane Warne, Glenn McGrath and Justin Langer. The fifth and final Ashes test of the 2006-7 Ashes series saw the retirements of Shane Warne, Glenn McGrath and Justin Langer, and Australia were destined to send them off in style. England batted first and made 291, with Andrew Flintoff top scoring with 89. Australia made 393 all out in their first innings, with Shane Warne top scoring with 71. England were bowled out for 147 in their second innings, setting Australia 46 runs to win. Kevin Peterson top scored with 29. Australia finished on none for 46 and won by 10 wickets. Australia won the 2006-7 Ashes series 5-0, and what a way to send off three legends of Australian cricket in style. Those are just some of the iconic Ashes moments over the years from the SCG. What new moments will be created in the third Ashes test of the 2021-22 Ashes series at the SCG? Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get the latest episodes of the podcast, and like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Until next time, keep safe and bye for now.